Welcome back. This is Power Breakfast on Citizen. Thanks for staying with us. Now, today we want to tackle the issue of online shopping. It's a phenomenon that has been growing in the Kenyan market over the past couple of years. So we really just want to hear your experiences. If you are watching, use the hashtag Power Breakfast to let us know what your experiences are. I'm joined in studio by a couple guests. David Mwawasi, who is a product manager at Kilimall. Welcome. And Tony Fundi. Thanks for being here as well. I understand you're quite tech savvy, so you'll be sharing your experience on online shopping with us in the Kenyan context. Willis Raburu?
Yes, yule too. I'm a consumer.
He's a consumer.
Yes, and also I got a couple things to say.
So let's start off by asking the question: is this the future of shopping in Kenya? I mean, we've seen a lot of businesses taking their content online and opening that space up for its consumers. So is this the future in Kenya?
I definitely think it is, simply because it opens you up to a wider demographic that you wouldn't normally have access to. If you look at the traditional retail businesses that we have, they are usually only limited to a particular location and a particular type of customer. But with e-commerce, it opens you up to the whole region basically, and it also helps you upsell other types of products that you may have in your general category e-commerce platform. So I think it's definitely the future. As of last year, the business was valued at about 5 billion Kenyan shillings.
Okay.
And it's still growing, with the internet penetration in Kenya currently being one of the fastest internet growth markets in the region. I think it definitely has a very bright future. Yeah.
Tony, what has been your experience online shopping?
Well, my experience has been both as a consumer and as somebody who wants to see where it is going. If there is if these guys who are selling have product knowledge, because I am a guy who really like my product. I will look at things, research, look at the prices, and still will want to get it up front. Yeah. So far so good, not been bad.
Yeah. Willis, I know you have a different opinion.
My opinion is different because while, first of all, the 5 billion that is Kenya, right?
Yes.
That is the value of the business in Kenya.
Yeah, the value of e-commerce in Kenya.
E-commerce in
Yes.
Kenya. All right.
So
Okay. Yeah. And so my question is just the basics, the normal things that happen. Like he said, he shops a lot. I also try to shop a lot, and the question is just about basically the guarantee on the quality of the product. Because if I go to a retail store, that maybe I won't mention the names because there are many. If I go to a certain supermarket, or maybe one of the 3 big supermarkets, I know that if I get this product, I'll get myself a receipt. I'll go back to the supermarket if something is faulty with it. But what happens if, let's say, I get, like in my case, a video game and I pop it in my game console and it's not working, and then the follow-up becomes a bit difficult.
Yeah, that's actually a very common problem. And I think what I would like to emphasize is it's very difficult to replace the personalization that comes with traditional retail. It's very difficult to replace that personal touch that your local retailer would have. But that is definitely something that we're trying to replicate with e-commerce as well. One of the biggest advantages that we have is that we try to give you the best prices and the biggest variety you possibly can find, more than your local retailer. So for instance, if you come to Kilimall and you're looking for that video game, maybe the new Metal Gear Solid or something, you at the same time when you're looking for that game, you get like 5 different recommendations of a similar game that you'd possibly find interesting, but also you'd find it at a much cheaper price than you'd find it anywhere. And also we do have a very comprehensive return policy, and I think that's mostly it's something that most e-commerce platforms are trying to have. If you bought something from our platform and you did not find it satisfactory, we do have a 7-day return policy where you can return the product and actually order something that is more specific to exactly what you wanted. So I think the advantages are more than the disadvantages. So that is where we trump local retailers, I would say, and that's where the future of the business is going. Even very soon you find that most local retailers will have an online platform to complement their local retail business. Or not, but it's the future.
Another argument is that online shopping either encourages impulse buying, or there are those also who say that no, when I go there I know exactly what I want and I can take my time and buy only what's necessary. What do you think has been your experience with that? Are you more more likely to impulse buy online?
Not really, I would say.
Okay.
Because whenever you're going online, you have a specific thing you're going to look for. You have the specifications. You might have a rough figure in your mind. Impulse buying, I'll say, normally comes when you're going to a retail shop. When you're going to a retail shop, as Willis has said, you'll go see the product. You'll want a receipt, right? But the salesman up there will really want to sell you something else. He's there for the business.
Right.
But whenever you're online, you're looking for that game. That is the game you're going to see there. They will give you recommendations down there, but it depends on you. Do you want to buy that game?
And add it to cart.
And add to
cart. My experience has been different because, I'm shopping from the convenience of my own home. I have all the time. Other things are just popping up on the side that I didn't even know I needed while I was shopping, like you're saying, other recommendations and such. So I can see how the argument can go both ways. The salesperson might not be there online, but there are lots of, the power of suggestion definitely exists.
Again, I think what we're trying to do with e-commerce is just replicate a very traditional business model that has existed for a very long time, which is retail, basically. So everything you do as a shopper in your local retail shop or supermarket is exactly what we want you to do on an e-commerce platform, whether it's specifically going for exactly what you want to buy, or window shopping, or price comparison, or we even encourage impulse buying. Why not? Maybe you might find something that you didn't know you needed, which actually can come in handy. Sorry, can come in handy.
Yeah.
And what about a challenge? Because you mentioned that return period, and this is a challenge maybe on your end. What stops me, for example, of taking the game, trying it out for 7 days, finishing it? Like Call of Duty, but I'm already finishing it, and then I go, okay, 3 days, I'm done. Now let me say it was faulty, I come back. How do you? What's the check for that?
I think with all businesses, there's always that loophole, right? That customers might find to try and cheat the business. So I think us as a e-commerce business, we didn't come into this business with that mindset of, we need to make sure that we find all these loopholes and plug them, because, our customers are very shifty people. We have a lot of faith in our customer. We have a lot of faith in our customer because we believe that we are offering them a value that they're not getting from anyone else. And we expect that faith to be reciprocated by honesty and integrity. Again, it's a business, so customers still will continue being shifty, but we expect that a bigger percentage of them will just adhere to a normal customer ethics, which is we give you something of value, we appreciate you as a customer, please also do right by us. Yes.
Now let's talk about how patient you have to be when you're shopping online. Obviously, you're not instantly leaving with a product, and that's been an issue that was raised even on social media when we started this discussion earlier today. Is people saying I ordered this from such and such a website. They said it would be delivered in 5 days, 2 weeks later, and I'm still waiting. And it's a problem that I've seen expressed by several people. So where do you think we are when it comes to delivery and that aspect of service?
Okay, that first of all, I'll say one, it depends on where you shop.
Okay.
Different companies have different structures. Whenever they say they have 3 days delivery, they should adhere to that, or else they have their numbers up there. Just call those numbers. And in online shopping, you need to be patient. You need to be patient because one, maybe that product is about to clear off their shelves. If you're the lucky one who just bought it, that means it's yours. The receipt, everything is there for you. But you have to be patient. Either they bring it to you if you want that, or you can visit them and collect them. I think Mr. David can tell me something about that. But
yeah,
you need to be patient.
Yeah, I think just to second what my friend is emphasizing is that, again, with every business, you do have your pain points. And I think one of the biggest pain points for e-commerce is delivery, it's logistics. Sometimes we do encounter some problems, but like any other business, problems are always there. So what we try to do is we just make sure that, for instance, in our regard as Kilimall, we've partnered with Wells Fargo, we've partnered with G4S, we've also partnered with Poster to make sure that we have as many distribution points that make it easier for the customer to pick up the products they ordered, so that we try to facilitate at least a 48-hour delivery. Okay. What we're trying to go for right now is 24-hour delivery. That's a goal we have. Hopefully we can implement this by sometime next year. But the delivery problem is something that is truly there. It's a problem, and we're trying to solve it. And just like any other business, it's a normal problem, but we're taking care of it.
Working on it.
Yeah.
Right. There's also a question that is coming here that maybe we can talk about a little bit later on in terms of somebody's asking, do you factor in tax? Because you said the products are
that's a great question. I ordered something the other day, and then when it showed up, there was all this tax that I didn't see when I was ordering, and I was kind of like, well, it's already here. Now I have to say. So.
Definitely. I'm not sure about your case, but
it wasn't actually
yeah, okay. We do try to make sure that our customers are very aware that the price that we've put on the platform is a price that is inclusive of tax.
Inclusive, not
inclusive.
Okay.
Not exclusive.
Right.
So by the time you order, you actually see everything that you're supposed to pay for. There are no hidden payments. There are no surprises. I think when it comes to that, one of the other challenges that we're trying to solve is global shipping. So global shipping is basically enabling you, the customer, to order something from a different country, whether from the US or China. That's when the tax issue becomes a bit tricky. But still, with the business model that we have, and I believe one of the biggest problems that general retail trading in Kenya has is that there are too many middlemen.
Right.
There are too many middlemen. So the supply chain is a bit flawed. So by the time the product gets to the customer, it's overly priced. That's why people keep on saying that Nairobi is one of the most expensive cities. It's actually not. It's because we have this supply chain which is very flawed. So what we're trying to do is we are trying to source those products directly from the manufacturer and get them straight to you. We are cutting off all middlemen. So by the time that you're getting this product, it's actually probably being sold at a wholesale price, to the customer, which will save you a lot of money. So what we're trying to do with global shipping is making you have access to that product when it directly leaves the manufacturer, so that even when tax is added or international tariffs, you still don't feel the pinch that much. Yeah.
Speaking of shipping costs and things like that, for the average Kenyan who's used to traditional shopping, watching us somewhere up country, right? A lot of these deliveries happen within Nairobi, Mombasa, the major towns. So how do you explain to that person the urgency? Yeah, someone watching from Kipsigis. How do you get that person on board to say this is the future, you're going to be buying your groceries online one day and, get into this? Is that reasonable at this point in time?
Okay, that depends if the client is so in...
Well, I guess that's the other question, is who is the target here for e-commerce in Kenya? Who are we targeting?
As you've said, it's like the guys in the towns.
Upmarket, tech savvy?
I think we currently have players who are catering for a lot of segments. There's a lot of opportunity for everyone, I think. E-commerce is still at its infancy stages. So we do have opportunity for an e-commerce platform that caters to the upper middle class. We do have an opportunity for e-commerce platforms that cater for the middle class and the lower middle class and everything below that, which is I think where we are trying to target. Our demographic is middle class and lower middle class. There are definitely some platforms out there which are catering for the upper middle class. So depending with your target segment, you are going to implement solutions which is going to make it easier for the customer to access your products and services. For instance, since our target segment is middle class and lower middle class, we have partnered with Posta, who are in a lot of remote locations. So it's very easy for those individuals to be able to access something that they've ordered online very near to where they live, Kipsigis, for instance. It's to convince them that this is the future, I think it's not something that we'll have to do. It's a force of, do I call it a force of business or a force of nature? It's just where the trend is going. I can give you a very good example. For instance, I, as David, never really understood this smartphone touchscreen revolution. Before the smartphone touchscreen revolution, there was a QWERTY keyboard, and I find it to be the most comfortable device ever made.
BlackBerry.
Yes, but with some very brilliant marketing that Apple came up with. By the way, touchscreen smartphones had existed way before Apple made one. But with the brilliant marketing that Apple had, and with the little tweaks and modifications that they made to the smartphone to make it convenient for the user, the marketing just basically became very organic, and all of a sudden it became something that you could not do without, because everyone else has it. So as much as you don't like it or you don't find any value in it, eventually you will end up using it because you have to, not because you want to. So I think that's the same case with e-commerce.
But I have a question about still on e-commerce. Like you said, the traditional retailers or stores will probably start integrating, like the way it is, I think, in the US, where you can shop and then just go collect it at the store, because these people have already pretty much had, like, you know, a route. Kuna I'm really trying not to mention the name of the store. Kuna iyo uko Kipsigis, iyo iko Eldoret, uko iyo iko, you know, they're pretty much all over. Yes. So would you see that as, in future, are you preparing for something like that in terms of competition if something like that happens?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Again, as with any other business, you know, your future revenue lies in your expansion.
Right.
It lies in the markets that you'll be able to penetrate, because you will eventually reach stagnation in where you are. Because, you know, the more you grow, of course, the more your expenses grow. You hire more people, you get more resources, so you will need to expand. And that's something that we're definitely planning for. We're planning for expansion, first of all, in the region. We've just opened a platform in Uganda. We are very soon opening one in Nigeria. And one of the challenges with all these three countries that we're in, like you said, is eventually we will have to reach the people who are in remote locations. One of the ways that we're doing that is currently in planning is there's one that I mentioned, there's the partnership with Posta. But there's also this very interesting technology called drone delivery. I think you may have seen some ads from that other company on how exactly it works. So that is something that is also definitely in the works for us. And yeah, it's an exciting future, man. There's a convergence of technology that is happening that is making it possible for us to deliver all these solutions to the customer.
Drone delivery. I'm sorry, like, let that sink in for a moment. I'm just trying to picture myself explaining it to my mother.
By the time I land at
you know, the beauty of all this technology is you actually don't have to explain it technically to them about how it works. It's simple. Mimi kuna hii ninio, hii ndege yenye itakubebea box kutoka kwetu hadi kwako. Utaingojea hapo na ita drop box na utapata ile kitu umeorder. It's that simple. So yeah, man, convergence of technology is one thing that we're definitely trying to take advantage of in making sure that our expansion plans.
Just speaking on technology, there's a Gitaka _good who says rather a major problem with delivery in e-commerce space is the lack of proper addressing in Kenya in terms of Google Maps, or you know, so, or even just addressing, you know, like you can't.
Yeah, like I just live there next to the left.
Yes. How is that affecting maybe the business as well?
I would say that hasn't really been a big issue. because as much as we don't have very specific addressing, Kenyans are very famous for directing people with landmarks. You know, yeah, good. Yes, or so you know that bar over there. Yeah, that one. But then again, we have a lot of workarounds to this. We also have something that most countries do not. We have borders. You know, and these border guys are very specific with their directions. If you tell them, if you give them a hint of something they can understand, they will actually finish it for you. So that's actually a problem that it really has an impact at our bottom line, to be honest.
Yeah. How do we stack up against, you mentioned Nigeria and other African countries in the e-commerce space? Especially in East Africa, I'm just curious to know, are we ahead of the game? Where do we stack up as Kenya?
I would say in East and Central Africa, Kenya is one of the biggest markets because number one, we have one of the highest internet penetrations in the region. Number two, we have one of the biggest literacy rates in the region. But of course, Nigeria is a bigger market. So with a bigger market, that means there's a bigger internet penetration. But then when you look at the growth rate, Kenya is growing at a faster rate simply because the services have become more affordable to the normal customer, to the normal resident. Whereas I believe there's still some issues, I'm not too sure, not updated with the statistics, but there's still some issues with the cost of internet in Nigeria. So that's something that they're still grappling with, and while they're grappling with that, we can take advantage of the fact that our prices are going down. So the internet penetration in the next 5 years should be higher than any other country in Africa. Yeah.
Interesting.
Go ahead. There's also the question that I wanted to ask about in your experiences. You're Mr. Tech Savvy. What are people buying mostly online? We know for Joe it could be groceries. But what are people buying online? What would you think?
One, I would say electronics. Whenever you go into any website, any online shop, electronics has to be there.
Right.
Mostly TVs, phones. Then when you go to the ladies' side, everything for ladies is there. Be the hair, be the clothes there, the shoes. And every time, whenever you go into any website, you have to see them being advertised at
right, up at the top.
At the top. So I'll say gadgets and electronics have the most, say, buy, because that is how I see it. I'm in the electronics business. So whenever I get there, I try to compare costs, compare the prices. I find electronics being just top there. They have to put it up.
Maybe just some final comments from you, David and Tony, on the online e-commerce space right now in Kenya. People watching who might not be too sure about if that's something that they would like to engage in at this point in time. Just going forward, maybe just some final words.
We offer value via affordability and variety. We are trying to understand the Kenyan customer, what the Kenyan customer wants, what the Kenyan customer buys monthly, quarterly, annually. And we are going out there, we're looking for all these things that you need and you want, and we are selling them to you at the most affordable price in Kenya. And we're giving you the largest variety. So we are really encouraging you, just test us out, see how it works for you. Also, one of the biggest channels through which we grow is user feedback. We need the customer feedback. We need you to tell us about your experiences. What went well, what went wrong. That is how we're going to be able to serve you better. So please try it out if you haven't, because you'll find out that you will get the best prices in the country, you'll get the best variety in the country, and convenience at your doorstep.
Okay. Tony?
I'll take on the part of convenience. You'll shop anywhere and at any time. You might be in your office, you might be at work, you might be even driving and you really want this stuff. You should try out. I can tell everybody, just try it out. Don't fear. Don't say it's a new thing to this market. Try it out. I've done it. very nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both for being here and engaging us in that conversation. And to you who's been watching, using the hashtag Power Breakfast and sharing your experiences, thank you for that. We're going to have a little bit of music from the band, and then we'll be back.